The arena is electric, the lights dimmed and the air thick with anticipation. Two titans stand ready to collide. Aleksander Emelianenko, the Russian powerhouse with ice in his veins, and Tony Johnson Jr., the American juggernaut known for his raw strength and fearless grit. From the very first step into the cage, there is no mistaking it. This is not just a fight. It's a war waiting to erupt. The crowd roars, but underneath the noise lies a chilling tension. Aleksander's cold stare pierces through the octagon, a look that speaks of decades of blood, sweat, and battles. Across from him, Tony's body is tense like a coiled spring, his chest rising and falling, his eyes locked on the man he must dismantle to rise higher. The cage door slams shut. There's no escape. The bell rings, and immediately, both men explode forward. Aleksander's jab snaps like a whip, testing Tony's guard, while Johnson answers with a thundering leg kick that echoes through the arena. Every movement carries weight. Every strike a dangerous gamble. The energy is suffocating. Fans leaning forward, breath held, because one mistake here could mean the lights out. Seconds tick like minutes as the fighters circle, probing for weakness. Aleksander unleashes a vicious right hand, narrowly grazing Tony's jaw, forcing him back. The crowd gasps, sensing danger, but Johnson fires back, unleashing a barrage of punches that forces Emelianenko to cover. The clash has begun, and it's already a storm of chaos. The first round ends, but not without leaving scars. Both men retreat to their corners, bruised but unbroken. This is no ordinary fight. This is survival of the fittest, and the storm has only just started. Round 2 begins, and there is no hesitation. Both men now know what the other brings: power, ferocity, and danger. Aleksander stalks forward like a predator, his massive frame casting a shadow across the cage. Tony stands his ground, defiant, refusing to back down. The first exchange comes fast. Aleksander hurls a brutal overhand right, but Tony slips just enough to counter with a sharp uppercut that snaps Aleksander's head back. The crowd explodes in shock. Emelianenko wipes his mouth, blood now dripping from his lip. He smiles, a terrifying smile. Tony presses forward, smelling blood, throwing a barrage of hooks and body shots. The cage rattles with each strike, the sound of fists on flesh echoing like thunderclaps. But Aleksander is no stranger to chaos. He absorbs the punishment, then unleashes a monstrous knee to Tony's midsection, folding him for a split second. The momentum swings like a pendulum. Nobody is safe, not even for a breath. The commentators are screaming. The crowd is in frenzy, and inside the cage, two warriors are carving their legacies in flesh and blood. Aleksander lands a devastating elbow on the clinch. Blood sprays, the canvas painted with crimson. Tony staggers back, but somehow, he's still standing. Every second feels like the last. The intensity is unbearable. Neither man wants to give in, and the fight is escalating into something beyond violence. It's pure survival. The horn sounds, mercifully, but the image of blood dripping from both men burns into everyone's mind. This is a war no one will forget. The third round begins, and the air is thick with electricity. Aleksander Emelianenko, towering and relentless, pushes forward like a predator closing in on wounded prey. He slams Tony Johnson Jr. with a punishing jab, followed by a crushing overhand right that rattles the cage. The Russian giant smells blood, but Johnson refuses to fold. He digs deep, firing back with looping hooks to the body, each one thudding like a war drum. The crowd roars, half in disbelief, half in awe, as Johnson launches a desperate takedown attempt, driving Aleksander against the fence. The two heavyweights lock up, sweat and blood dripping onto the canvas as they wrestle for control. Aleksander digs his underhooks, using his sheer size and leverage to peel Johnson off. He spins free, then fires a brutal knee to the midsection. Johnson staggers, his face twisted in pain, but he doesn't retreat. Instead, he grits his teeth, planting his feet and answering with a thunderous right hand that catches Aleksander flush on the jaw. The arena explodes. Aleksander stumbles back, his legs wobbling for the first time tonight. Johnson surges forward, fists blazing, throwing everything he has left. Hooks, crosses, uppercuts. The onslaught is wild but dangerous. Aleksander shells up, weathering the storm, waiting for his chance. The bell rings, saving Emelianenko from disaster. Johnson walks back to his corner with fire in his eyes. For the first time, the Russian looks human, vulnerable. The crowd senses it. Momentum has shifted, and the war is far from over. Round 4 begins with both men drained but unwilling to yield. Aleksander, breathing heavily, stalks forward once again, his long reach keeping Johnson at bay. Johnson, though battered, still holds defiance in his stance. He bobs, weaves, and looks for that one opening that could end it all. Aleksander snaps a jab, then another, then fires a devastating left hook. Johnson eats it, shakes his head, and counters with a blistering overhand right that lands clean. Aleksander stumbles into the cage, the crowd rising to their feet. Johnson rushes in, fists flying. This could be the finish. But Aleksander is no stranger to chaos. With his back against the fence, he digs deep, unleashing a savage uppercut that explodes through Johnson's guard. The American heavyweight's head snaps back, his legs buckling beneath him. In an instant, Aleksander swarms. Lefts, rights, a storm of punishment raining down. Johnson tries to cover up, but the shots keep landing. The referee hovers close, watching carefully, until finally, after one last crushing hook, he steps in and waves it off. The war is over. The arena erupts as Aleksander Emelianenko raises his arms in triumph, bloodied but victorious. Johnson collapses into his corner, beaten but unbroken in spirit. The fans chant, their voices thundering through the rafters. This wasn't just a fight, it was a war of wills, a clash of giants. Aleksander stands tall in the center of the cage, his chest heaving, his eyes fierce. On this night, in this brutal theater of combat, he proved that even when pushed to the brink, the Russian Titan can still summon the power to reign supreme. The 5th round begins with both fighters looking like warriors carved from iron, faces swollen, bodies bruised, but eyes still burning with fire. The air in the arena is thick with anticipation. Every fan knows this is the round where something unforgettable could happen. Tony Johnson Jr. comes out first, pressing forward with relentless determination. He digs deep into Emelianenko's body with thudding hooks, each one forcing Aleksander to retreat a step. The crowd senses a shift. Johnson is hunting, smelling blood, refusing to let the Russian breathe. A crushing overhand right clips Aleksander, and for a split second, the giant staggers backward. Gasps ripple through the audience as Johnson charges in, throwing punches in bunches, trying to finish what he started. But Aleksander refuses to fold. His face is crimson, sweat pouring into his eyes, yet his composure never wavers. He leans against the cage, absorbing the storm, waiting like a predator, timing its strike. Then, in a moment of brilliance, he pivots, slipping a punch and unleashing a violent left hook that lands flush on Johnson's jaw. The shot freezes Tony mid-motion, sending him stumbling back. The arena erupts. Fans are screaming. Commentators are on their feet. Aleksander is back in it. Smelling weakness, he unloads with brutal combinations, hooks, uppercuts, and a straight right that echoes like a hammer against steel. Johnson, dazed but defiant, somehow stays upright, his legs trembling, but his spirit unbroken. As the bell rings, both men are barely standing. Johnson's corner works furiously to revive him. while Alexander sits stone-faced on his stool, eyes locked on his opponent. Round 5 hasn't ended the fight, but it has brought it to the razor's edge. One more mistake, one more perfectly timed strike, and this war could be finished in an instant.